All right, we'll go with that. All right. Tonight's featured reader is Frederick Livingston. Frederick is an ecologist currently working in the prison school pipeline, growing native plants with incarcerated people for restoration projects across the American West. Born at the southern tip of the Salish Sea in Olympia, Washington, his work in experimental education and peace building has taken him across the world, from the Peace Corps to Rural Tanzania to the United Nations University for Peace in Costa Rica and beyond. Since the 6th grade debut on local access television, performing Ode to a Chair, Frederick's work has appeared in scientific journals, dozens of literary magazines, and public spaces. He has been a featured poet of California Quarterly and nominated for several Pushcart and Best of the Net awards. He is the author of the poetry collection Moon and Other Fruits, a legacy book press. His upcoming second book, Trees Are Bridges to the Sky, was recently awarded the Prism Prize for climate literature. Compelled by the power of metaphor to shape our culture, Frederick strives to plant seeds for a more fruitful world. And he's got his own website he can tell you about. So without any further ado, here is Frederick Livingston.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's really cool space. Maybe I can, just in case, you don't know what the heck. Before I start, is there anybody who would like to hold a book to read as I talk? I have people in my family who can't hear, and so I'm aware of that need. I brought extra copies there. Somebody else needs some? You'll mostly read from the book, but there was a request for a funny poem, so I'll try to mix that in too. I think that needs more. Is everybody good as okay? That's more okay. We're gonna run out, but you can kind of share it around maybe. I'll just try. I do try to talk as clear as I can. We'll see. Okay. So I mostly wanted to share a book, The Moon and Other Fruits, that he was talking about. I sort of think of poems as excerpts from a little ongoing poemal phenomenon, like the larger poem that we're all experiencing. And so I try to structure it kind of that way. It's laid out in chapters. There's 5 chapters, and each one is a word that has a poem in it, and then it contains a section of poems, but together they're also a poem. So one, ripe, hungry, rising. So for the, I've never been here before. I don't know if you do audio participation at all. But if you're willing to help me out a little bit, it's nothing very intense. Don't worry, it's not anything totally unhinged. But if someone who has a book could turn to page 2, which is chapter 1, and we're willing to read. It's a very short poem, but so we can all hear each other's voices a little bit. Anybody want to go for it? Sure. Okay. To read 1.
You don't want us to read together? Or?
No, you can. One person can read it too. There's 5 of them, so one person can read one, different person read the other one.
Okay. Last night I dreamed the earth was spinning and awoke to illusions of stillness.
Yeah, last time I was reading, someone read it as silliness, and I actually kind of liked that better. I'll just read one poem from that section. First one, guys, they're sort of about waking up, coming to awareness. This one's called Present, and it's from Mendocino, California. 3 blue jays take flight from limb of red alder, just as my eyes alight on them. Let me never say I made up a poem, but if I listen, I might catch a few and write them down before they elope with the boundless sky. And would someone be willing to read the right chapter? Second one? Sorry, not on my poem that short. It's not going to be over in 10 minutes. person? Someone who just feels called. So.
Go for it.
Okay, go for it. Just volunteer.
Do wild blueberries ripen overnight as they dream? Crush one dewy with cold dawn on your tongue, and you tell me.
Okay, maybe I'll read, everyone's aware what the haiku is, right? 575 syllables. This one's called Honey. With those who wonder, what difference can one make? I will plant flowers. And when the buds bloom, watch the little buzzing bee whose life is made here. In the few hours she has together, all the sweetness she will know. Without faith enough to plant my seeds in winter, there would be no bee. Trees see us this way. Hurrying from place to place, they hang fruit on limbs to ask, why not rest? In a moment in my shade and taste your precious breath. The bee takes my gift to make honey, flowers receive the bee and make fruit. Eat the fruit until your fingers are sticky and your belly is full. What gifts will you share? Is the work of this world and the meaning of joy. Although industry has filled our hands with pride, always remember, only by grace of another's hope do we know the nectar of breath. Would a third volunteer be open to reading Hungry? It's on page 32. Yeah, go for it? Okay. Anybody?
Hungry. When jar escapes your grasp, shatters on the kitchen floor, where does its emptiness go?
Okay. So this one's called Cholera Season, and it's from Njombe, Tanzania, which is like in the southern highlands, kind of near Malawi. Kind of big equator. Rain-shaken mangoes make thunder, rolling down aluminum roofs. Mud craters become amoeba breeding pools. Humbling, drumming, flooding, crowded room. Doctor gasps wet air, shouts louder, rain, dangers. Few believe roofs were made by strangers. Drowning under dry lectures, no, they were made by lovers. Intoxicated with rain song, we awoke, new, immodestly verdant world. Washed, last year's dust, whispers of cholera. Soon toothless, stumbling uncle, breath stale, sweet bamboo wine. Dry earth cracks, green mangoes open, roofs leak sunlight. Fever dreaming seasonal creatures brood moonshine truths, eagerly devoured last harvest. Mama planted each seed delicately, as if into the mouth of her back-born infant. Who could bear, imagine, rains forsake her fertile intentions? But sometimes we feed insects and birds instead of loved ones. Awaiting late rains, count each grain. Eat or sow, believe in hunger, or believe in love again. And for another one, maybe to branch out a little bit, this one's not from my book, but it's also about hunger. I did a jury duty recently. I don't know if anyone's ever done that. People told me, like, oh, it's very easy. You go there, you say some questions, they say goodbye, and you leave. But the first thing they said was juror number 8. And so then I was called. And I was like the first person to stand on like the little bench, 12 people. And the experience was like actually quite intense for me because I work like growing native plants in prisons all around Oregon, so I know what these places are like where people would go. And so it's very revealing to me to like see the path of how someone arrives at a place like that. And so this is called jury duty. Pretend you are no longer human. Pretend you do not long to join summer outside this cold courthouse. Pretend you are immune to your past or the defendant's future. Pretend you are a paper sack of sliced ham, bagels, a hoodie, deodorant, and cider. stolen from a department store, earning $148 billion annually. Feel the loss of $80 of merchandise and what you would pay to reclaim it. Feel your fingers touch the numbers that summon law enforcers. Public funds poured into jurors, judges, air conditioners, jail cells, swarm of uniforms, gas and black vehicles, parting traffic with the plow of their siren. Hear the familiar scream of safety descend upon you. Watch the flash of an officer's gun and 2 tasers aimed for your veins, pulsing reptilian catastrophe. Obey the command, get down on the ground. Return to your body in one of 12 soft chairs. Listen as the judge instructs. Be impartial. Apply the law as it is written. It is not for you to decide what follows, that only what happened that day in April. Give sympathy no harbor. Swear you are objective as the pointed silver object in question that turns shoplifting into robbery, menacing, attempted assault, trespass, resisting arrest, unlawful use of a weapon. Do not speculate why a houseless man would steal bread, why he might shout and fight when tackled into roadside ivy. Plead you are not guilty of hunger, of fear, of being an imperfect, permeable animal. Ignore redundance of shiny metal, dangerous weapon, criminal justice. Observe the vertigo, how far you could fall in one afternoon. All the sky between heaven's laws and the lurch of a body, learning its worth. Disperse into the warm evening awaiting you. Breathe your freedom, suddenly jagged and frail. So the arc of the book is kind of down. Like hungry is definitely the low point. That's symbolized by an apple that's being eaten, sort of like a waning moon. But then the next chapter is rising. So it's sort of the journey of waking up, finding delights of fruits. Also, the other side of delight is hunger, and then you start to find something bigger than either of those two things. Would someone be open to reading the poem Rising on page 50? Yes?
While you sleep, I dream of dawn rising over us in unimagined worlds.
Maybe I'll read this one. It's called Love Over Oceans. And this is a proposal for extracurricular research. And I wrote this when I was in grad school in Costa Rica at the University of Peace. I was trying to go to the Netherlands, and I submitted this to my professor asking for 2 weeks off from the class. And it's structured as a scientific paper. Everyone's familiar with it. So, Love Over Oceans. Abstract. Never underestimate the heartbreak of the Big Bang. Imagine a force capable of compelling an ecstasy of infinite singularity to scatter into a vast, cold, and dark universe. Tangible. I want to live in a world with the environmental allowances for lovers to fly across the world to be with one another. I want learners to be able to voyage to the edge of their known universe so that they may be confronted with the bewildering landscape of human possibilities, within and without. I wish everyone the freedom to move until they know they always belonged. Yet I know this is not the case. I am an anomaly in time and space, so I try to plant trees and compost my melon rinds and smile at strangers and look down at the world from little airplane windows to be moved by smallness, without and within. Introduction. You say my journey lacks academic excuse, and this is probably true. Still, it is movement towards truth and a fuller expression of what my life can be, and so I see no conflict in our goals. I would not miss your class if there was another way. Conduction. Touching earth roots me to what is real, and I can feel the joy of what may be without leaving the ground, my head in clouds. It would be too harsh a separation to send my soul across an ocean before my body could reach those shores. We are learning what miraculous closeness is possible in distance, yet the universe is not only expanding, it pulls us closer too. Methods. I will prepare dry nuts and fruit for fortitude. I once made the mistake of bringing salad through security, and I had to convince the officer it was not a liquid by eating it. That happened at PDX here. I will spread peanut butter onto bread because it only counts as a liquid in a jar. Rubber snakes, sporks. I have learned many lessons from loss. Where I'm going is far and cold and dark. It is the universe, so I am bringing every sweater I own. Exactly one. I will rest as best I can, although I have dreams overflowing even in day. I will hurtle across lines in the sand to lands where clocks disagree with me. I will bring paper and tea for collecting thoughts. I will drink water and seek vegetables and emerge through winged cocoons, newly enamored with sunlight. Discussion. So why did the universe decide to burst forth? Why shatter perfection into uncountable shards? Why carve trees into boats to chase the horizon? Why challenge the gravity calling us to earth? Why leave paradise to burn candles and bundle in coats? Because this is the only journey. I had a request for a humorous poem, so I will attempt to do one. This is part of it. It's part of the poem. So when I wrote this Love Over Oceans, like right before everything locked down from the pandemic, and so I was stuck in Costa Rica, which is a great place to get stuck. I'm not complaining, but eventually I had to leave, and so I had to call Delta Airlines to get a flight many times because I would book a flight and it'd get canceled. Go and call them and book it and get canceled over and over and over again. So I spent many hours on hold. And this is a close approximation of the hold music. This poem is called Welcome to Delta, and it's a transcript of what I was experiencing through the various calls. Welcome to Delta. Your call is important to us. Well, kind of. I mean, honestly, this could take a while. You see, all of our agents are currently unavailable because today is the annual picnic at our Malaysian call center. They are just putting the finishing touches on their model sailboats for the big race this afternoon. Welcome to Delta. Did you know you can go book yourself? Just go to delta.com and select the option to go book yourself, and you can get off this phone and on with your life. Welcome to Delta. To reach a customer service agent, simply draw a triangle of crushed brimstone, stand inside and spill the blood of 3 virgin pigeons. Welcome to Delta. We are unable to receive your call because our Malaysian are orangutans being smuggled offshore. Our agents are currently cutting escape holes in the shipping containers with blowtorches, and will be with you as soon as the mission is accomplished. Welcome to Delta. Have you heard of Delta's new Delta Green Climate Smart Travel Initiative? Simply cancel your flight to offset the carbon emissions, and Delta will send you a VR headset preloaded with the experience you are going to have anyway. Why fly to Nebraska for your family reunion just to hear your uncle get drunk and say some homophobic shit when you can live the experience from the comfort of your own home? Flying to Costa Rica for your honeymoon only to catch COVID on the flight and get stuck in a hotel airport for 2 weeks? Delta can help you save the hassle and the planet. Welcome to Delta. Did you know you can book yourself in our app? Go to www.delta.com/bookmeintheapp to find out what customer satisfaction means to Delta. Welcome to Delta. All of our agents are currently unavailable right now because after their brush with the adventure on the high seas, they realize how much money there is to be made in orangutan smuggling. They have decided not to return to the call center. We believe they have commandeered a smuggling vessel and are somewhere heading north on the South China Sea, If you have any information to the whereabouts of our agents, please call us immediately at 1-800-GO-BOOK-YOURSELF. Thanks. Then eventually they pick up the phone. And we have hardship, we just got turned into art, you know. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll do another poem for my book. I've got a few more minutes, you know. Maybe, can someone read the Moon poem, the last chapter of the 5 chapters? Thank you, Bridget.
Hold hearts with open hands as gravity holds her breath halfway between fall and flight.
Okay. Do you want to try more experimentation? I've heard some poets that can put their poems to music, and it works out really well. I've been trying to practice that, trying to figure out which ones would work. But I'm going to try that with poem Constellation, page 84. This one was from Mendocino, California. I lived in Northern California. So, I have seen many Navy whales, surf disturbed in a certain way, waking nerves alert and skywide, transfixed by the vague suggestion of a creature, one fin in this world and one fin outside, subside in a breath as a wave slinks from shore, pretending it didn't just throw all its passion at the earth's feet. As we rolled behind sight of the sun, the sherbet-flooded sky drained, and 2 lights became faintly visible above the horizon, just as the other sunset watcher we met last night predicted. Planets, he said, here for a few nights, every 800 years or so, or at least 400, he retracted, but the difference felt less burning than where will they go? And why have they come all this way to visit us now? Returning from your walk along the cliffs, you reported seeing a string of lights flow across the sky. And we observed there must be at least a few people around here who could afford a UFO, even for the amusement of confusion alone. I'd like to believe I can pick a planet out of a line of stars, but across such inconsolable distance, who can be sure? I've heard a whale's tongue is as big as an elephant, and its heart is as big as an automobile, with veins large enough to swim through. I don't know if this is true, but I tend to believe so simply because it is a preferable world to inhabit. Then again, I've heard people say a star is bigger than a whale, but what use are such comparisons to me? They even say stars are made of fire and flying through space faster than a cormorant swoops into fish-rich sea. Or is that a harbor seal swimming at the limits of my vision, all motion blurs back into the swirl of maybe everything from which we all emerge. My first unmistakable whale was different. There, beyond those bird-thick cliffs, distant yet distinct, my heart leapt into the waves of the spray like rain. As a child born in a city, I remained skeptical of constellations. The overlay of mythic figures on what meager stars the lightful night offered seemed fanciful at best. Seasick sailors imagining mermaids for manatees. But the closer I get to the sky, the clearer I see we too are but 2 points of light, adrift in darkness, given meaning by our connections. That is how my heart left my chest to pound against the waves, when the whale precipitated from the brooding clouds of what may be, suddenly a sea of frightful, lurking uncertainty became glass quiet, and I saw firmament has not escaped me entirely. To feel your heat-loving fingers in the coat pocket we share, an intimacy so far from ambiguous sea monsters, or the luminous intimations of hidden moons or the ungraspably vast chasms of wordless matter between us and the things we claim simply because we have given them names. Despite all of this, here you are beside me, and I have seen a whale, and I have seen a planet, and I have known love, far brighter than them both. I'm going to take the time to have one more. I'm going to wrap it up now.
We got time.
You got time? Okay. I think if I had one more poem I could read, maybe one from my upcoming book, which is not physical at this moment, so you can't buy it. You can buy this one though. I do have some copies, as you see, handed out. This one actually, in case you want, is $15, and I'm donating 10% of it. The publisher is like splitting part of the proceeds with me towards the food bank in Thurston County, so I think I wrote a little blurb in the back because poems should feed people both in body and in soul too. So maybe one more I could do. As I said in my bio, I'm also an ecologist, so sometimes I wrote sort of nerdy ecology poems. Maybe I'll read one called Endemic, and it's called Endemic, or An Open Letter from the Devil's Hole Pupfish regarding funding for an ongoing effort to save the species from extinction. I learned about this creature a while ago, and so I felt very compelled to write a poem about it to share. Okay. Endemic. This one's not in the book. This is from my upcoming book, Trees Are Bridges to the Sky. So it's in the beyond place. But you get a sneak preview. Okay. This is endemic. We are 35 fish in a single pool you call Devil's Hole, the National Park, Nevada. This is the only home we've ever known. Human efforts brought us back from the brink of extinction, but some of you still wonder, why bother with such a little fish? We were not given the cleverness to invent the atomic weapons you tested in our deserts, or the wells that drank the aquifer beneath our pool. And yet, we found this crevasse without assistance of legs or wings, measuring 72 feet long by 11 feet wide, and deeper than any human knows. The smallest range of any spined creature. How much is an unsolved mystery worth to you? How much is one answer worth to the question, why are we here? How much would you pay for proof that life is possible in Earth's most marginal places? Can't you see Earth is also one blue pool? Do you truly believe you have found a place on your planetary tapestry where the fraying edge will never reach you? We are not your children, you must remember. We did not ask for your guardianship. We fell into your hands because you took our lifeblood for yours. Is our upkeep a greater burden than adding another ghost to your menagerie? After how many erasures is restitution due? This is our only request. Do not collect us as mere curios of a dying planet. Return the treasures you have taken. That pretty much sums it up. I have a few line poem at the end. The very last one, The Moon Rose. That's sort of a good closer, I think. From Joshua Tree, California. It's very short, called The Moon Rose. The moon rose slowly bloomed. The moon petunia too, soon bluebell, violet, and marigold. The mountain thorns adorn slender twilight stem. Dawn roots deep in night, something more than an absence of light. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Isn't that terrific, everybody? to mention them. I remember. This is our 1 year anniversary.
Here.
So, yeah, so, anyway, we're gonna take a little break. Frederick's got some books to sell, so he said 15, and so they're all around. I'm going to buy them, give him $15. We have some cookies over here and 2 sign sheets. If you want to read the open mic, sign up on the open mic sheet. If you want to be on the mail list, sign up on the mail list sheet, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes.
Remember who the poet is at the book bins, and I frightened
September?
Yes,
I think it's going to be Bruce.
Oh, yes, you're right. Right. Yes.
Do I need to go out with that?
I can say it. I sent my sister a calendar for her birthday. She loves it.
Yeah, the doodles inside there, the border art is my friend Anna Brett. Yeah, she did that cover design. Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. That's very cool stuff. You like the book too? You like the sign? We did. Yeah, it's very similar to right next to Jumping.
Well, I've been out of town for 3 weeks, but I was here for 6 weeks in a row.
In total, almost 3 years, but I was in the East Coast for 2 years. I went back to like leading student trips.
Yeah, so that's what Very well, that's lovely. And preferably your own name, but I'm telling you to do that too. Thank you so much.
You guys have trouble with the internet, like Amazon and Barnes and Noble and stuff. I can also like mail you a copy or I